Architectural terracotta products can be made in virtually every color and into any shape. It's difficult to imagine all the possibilities, so it can be helpful to go to a showroom in person or to start, maybe take a virtual tour of the Ludowici Dallas Design Center. Go to ludowici.com, click on showrooms, and click on tour. There are three profile categories in the Ludowici roof tile line. There's interlocking tile, shingle tile, and barrel tile. Each profile has a dedicated installation manual. The presentation today will focus on the Ludowici Shingle Tile. I'll use the Shingle Tile installation manual as a reference, and you can access a digital version of the manual at ludowici.com. We're going to look at the field tile and the accompanying fittings. Fittings are accessory tile that are designed to integrate in with the field tile. On pages 6 and 7 of the Shingle Tile installation manual, you can see a variety of groups within the trim family. There are many hip and ridge options and decorative fixtures to choose from, but this introduction today will focus on just the field tile and the fittings. Within the shingle tile category, there's a variety of sizes, surface textures, colors, and glazes that can impact the appearance of the finished roof. The shingle tile choices are divided into two main categories. There's rustic field tile, which tend to mimic the natural look of slate, stone, or wood. And there's formal field tile, which have an elegant and more uniform appearance. The basic installation for all shingle tile is very similar. Let's assume we've done a tour, we've investigated our options, and now we're ready to make a selection. For this exercise, I'm choosing the Brittany Shingle Tile. Brittany is in the rustic category. By selecting a specific tile, we can now focus on the information for just that product. This is page 4 in the Shingle Tile manual. I've captured the relevant information for the Brittany Field Tile. And this is page 5, and it has the information for all of the fittings available for shingle tile. Again, fittings are pieces designed to integrate with the field tile. Using fittings can make our installation easier by minimizing cutting and reducing job site adjustments to the field tile during the installation. The blue box encompasses all of the potential shingle tile choices we could have made. The blue line shows the available fittings are all the same for the shingle tile choices: long top, short top, end band, under eave, and header course. The size, the color, and the texture of the fittings will align with the field tile choice that you've made. Back to our Brittany. Here I've captured the relevant information for the fittings made to accompany the Brittany shingle tile. So now we have all of the information needed: the length, the width, the thickness, and the exposures to install the Brittany field tile and fittings. We'll see where they're used as we put the roof together. You can also find this profile-specific information in the product data sheet. Go to ludowici.com, follow the drop-down menu under Products. Go to Roof Tile, go to Shingle Tile, and then to your selection, in this case, Brittany. At the lower left of the page, you'll see Product Data Sheet. The product data sheet is a 2-page document with all of the product information specific to the tile selected. Here's a small training mock-up with Brittany Shingle Tile being installed. Let's take a closer look. The Brittany field tile is 12 inches long. It's 7 inches wide. So when the roof is complete, the full width of the field tile will be exposed, so a width exposure of 7 inches. And the Brittany has a maximum horizontal row exposure of 5 inches. A 12-inch tile with a maximum 5-inch exposure means each row will lap the preceding course by about 7 inches. We can also see the rows are offset or in a brick pattern. The offset is 1/2 the width of the tile. So for the 7-inch wide Brittany tile, the offset is about 3.5 inches. Along the gable, you can see that every other row begins with a half tile. The half tile offset creates vertical alignment of the tiles in every other row. Here are the fittings I'm going to introduce today: the long top, short top, end band, and the under eave. Notice there are various sizes, but all are essentially a portion of a full field tile. They have 2 fastener holes already pre-punched, just as in the full-size field tiles. When you see where they're placed, you'll also notice that the portion of the fitting that is visible when installed is also finished, meaning that the butt edge will be chiseled just as the field tile is in this case, and the surface will be glazed or finished the same way as the full field tile is, so that they'll seamlessly blend into the field. Each manufactured fitting will have the required 2 fastener holes pre-punched also. But if the full field tile were field trimmed to the size of a fitting, the glaze or the surface features might be impacted and the fastener holes might be cut off. Let's look at where these fittings go and how they can help us. Here's a gable edge view of a very small eave to ridge run. These full width tiles are laid in a straight bond for demonstration purposes only. We wouldn't do this on a full roof, and I'll address the required offset or half bond nature of the installation when we get to that point with a fitting that makes it easy. These 3 tiles are full field tile. Looking at the surface of this roof, all of the rows have been installed with a consistent 5-inch exposure in each row. Each field tile is overlapped about 7 inches by the succeeding row. As we install rows up the slope, we'll ultimately terminate our rows at a ridge nailer board or head wall. For the next course, a full field tile would be too long, and a tile would have to be cut to fit to the confines of the roof plane, maintain the consistent exposure, and lap the field. And the same would apply to the top course that butts into the ridge nailer. We could cut a field tile to fit, in addition to the labor of measuring and cutting the tile and having loaded the tile on the roof, just to discard the cut pieces. We'd also be cutting off the portion of the field tile with the pre-punched fastener holes. Ludowici tile are very strong, and it's challenging to drill through the quality terracotta products. The hole per bit ratio is not very good. There's an alternative. You can cut a field tile to fit and notch the tile with a saw. That's a choice and necessary sometimes on the roof. You place a copper nail or screw through the notch, but that takes time and it takes the work of a craftsman up on the roof. So there's a need and a benefit to having these made to fit finished tile with appropriately placed fastener holes. That's why the long top and the short top fittings are made. With attention to your layout, you can reduce or eliminate cutting at the horizontal terminations. If you're experienced with other hard products, you might wonder why the stagger. Different from shakes or other less substantial materials, this stagger at the termination point is needed so that the tile fasteners can reach the roof deck without penetrating the preceding row of tile. The 1x2 and the 2x wood stringers ensure good fastening and that the surface of the less than full tiles installed at the termination maintain the same cant angle relationship with the deck. What's a cant angle? It's the slope of the roof deck in relation to the slope of the surface of the tile. This mock-up roof slope is a 612, that's 6 inches of rise for every horizontal foot. The tile surface, with each row resting similarly on a preceding row, each row of tile is canted or tipped in relation to the roof deck. The surface of the tile on this deck has a consistent rise of 5.5 inches per horizontal foot. We want the cant angle to remain consistent for the aesthetics and also so that they nest properly from row to row. The goal is that the completed head wall and ridge terminations have a consistent row spacing, a consistent cant angle, and are fastened properly. And with a little attention to the horizontal layout, the long and short top fittings can reduce or eliminate horizontal cutting, drilling, and notching. So we've addressed the long top and the short top. Now we'll look at the under eave. The under eave is 7 inches long and supports our first course at the eave without having a 5-inch extension beyond the eave or having to cut and notch a tile. The under eave fitting aligns with the butt edge of the first row, and like the long and short tops, the chiseled butt edge is visible. The pre-punch fastener holes also allow for normal fastening, just as with the other fittings. 2 more details at the eave. We call clay shingle tile slate and shakes a double lap installation, meaning there are 2 layers. Plus, there's an approximately 2-inch wide area of triple lap on every row. So at the eave of a shingle tile, in addition to the under eave fitting, we need to install an eave flashing detail that mimics the elevation the 3rd layer would provide. This detail from page 22 of the shingle tile manual shows a stringer installed along the eave with the proper flashing and underlayment installed. This is one way to provide the support and the elevation needed at the eave to maintain the cant angle and avoid the look of first row droop. We'll also install the under eave fitting face down, meaning the finish side down. On this brown glazed Brittany, the back side of the under eave with the natural clay is showing before being covered with the first row of full tile. The chiseled butt edge of the under eave and the first full course make a clean looking edge at the eave. Also, the under eave is offset from the field tile row. A last look at the under eave, it is offset a half width from the first full row of tile. You see the eave flashing and the cant strip to support the nose of the tile. So this leads us to our last fitting, the end band. This is page 33 in the Ludowici Shingle Tile Installation Manual. It provides a good look at the end band and is a perfect way to wrap up these 4 fittings. Notice the half tile offset between the under eave and the first row that we just looked at. It continues up the field, creating a staircase pattern up the roof slope. That half tile offset is created by the installation of an end band installed at the gable in every other row. Even on a small roof deck, we have some flexibility in adjusting the exposure. On this slope, we're able to start on the right with end band fittings and a full field tile in alternating rows, and then adjust the vertical alignment slightly to accommodate the deck size and finish with a full field tile and an end band in every other row on the other end. The shingle tile end bands are truly a half width full tile. The glaze or color is on all visible sides and the 2 fastener holes are in place, allowing you to start at the gable with a proper offset without any additional work. On this small training deck, we use 7 under eave fittings beneath the first course. We use 7 long top fittings in the second to last course. We use 7 short top fittings in the top course. And we used 8 end band fittings, 4 at each gable. By using these 29 fittings, we avoided 21 horizontal cuts to the tile. We avoided 8 vertical cuts to create the half tile. And we avoided the need to drill or notch at least 50 times. Field adjustment and application choices are made on every roof. I hope understanding the opportunities with fittings is helpful. Well, that'll wrap up an introduction to shingle tile and 4 of the available fittings. Again, you can access the manual at ludowici.com. If you have a question, you can reach out to me by email or phone, and if I can't answer your question, I will connect you with someone that can.